World War II, I mean, the scale was just unprecedented. And it nearly got even darker, didn't it?
It really did. Germany's V-2 rockets, coming so late in the game, they were devastating. Almost changed things.
Almost. But before they could, the Nazi regime, well, it collapsed, ending a war that cost just millions and millions of lives.
And to really get a handle on how that immense suffering even began, you kind of have to trace it back to one single, incredibly complex figure.
Adolf Hitler.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into the sources, the materials that shed light on his story.
Yeah, our mission here is to pull out the key insights, maybe some surprising facts too, about the man whose path started in, well, a quiet corner of Europe.
And ended up leading the world into catastrophe. We're looking beyond just the events, trying to understand the critical moments, the decisions that push things along that path.
Right. The goal for you listening is to quickly get up to speed on this really pivotal history, grasping not just what happened, but maybe getting a sense of why it mattered so much.
So let's explore.
Where do we start? His birth.
Our story really begins pretty quietly. Adolf Hitler was born April 20th, 1889, about 6:30 in the evening.
Okay.
In Braunau am Inn. It's a small Austrian town right on the German border. He was the third of 6 kids. His father, Alois, was a customs official.
And they lived above an inn.
Yeah, the Gasthofzimplummer Inn. Tiny apartment.
And what jumps out from the sources about those early years, it's his struggles in school, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. School was not his strong suit. He failed his first year of high school.
Wow.
Yeah, and eventually dropped out altogether after about 9 years. Pretty mediocre record. Left bitter. No diploma.
But he had this one big dream, right?
He did. Singular focus.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a painter, an artist.
So he heads off to Vienna.
Managed to convince his mother. He saw Vienna, its architecture, its energy. He thought that was the place for him. He was aiming for the Academy of Fine Arts.
And this rejection, it's more than just a footnote, isn't it? The sources suggest it was pretty significant.
I think so. It wasn't just a failure. It was the failure of his only real ambition at the time. You can see how that might plant seeds of, well, deep resentment.
And then things get even worse for him personally.
They really do. The sources paint a tough picture. He passes the first exam for the academy.
Okay, some hope.
But then fails the second round. Rejected, he goes home, finds his mother is incredibly sick, cancer. She dies not long after, and that just shattered him, utterly crushed. Grief, artistic failure. He goes back to Vienna, but he's adrift.
And this is where he experiences real poverty.
Yeah, for a time he's essentially homeless. No money, no real friends, eating scraps, sleeping in shelters. He even tried the academy again, failed again, just couldn't get in. Eventually, a small inheritance comes through, but it wasn't much. Not enough to build a future on.
So he makes a change.
He does. Decides to move to Munich. Uses the last of that inheritance for a modest room.
And there's that quote from Mein Kampf about this period, isn't there?
That's right. I came to the city a boy. I left it a silent and determined man. So he starts this new, quiet life in Munich. But then
the world changes.
Yeah.
Dramatically.
Absolutely. The spark ignites World War I. Austria-Hungary, Germany's ally, declares war on Serbia. That's July 1914.
And it just escalates incredibly fast.
So fast. Russia mobilizes. Germany declares war on Russia, then France. Then the crucial move. German troops march into neutral Belgium.
Which brings Britain in.
Exactly. Britain, allied with Belgium, declares war on Germany, and boom! Within a single week in August, Europe is engulfed in war.
And Hitler's reaction? What do the sources tell us?
He was apparently enthusiastic. He joins the German army on August 5th, 1914, assigned to the infantry, becomes a corporal.
And he wasn't just behind the lines.
No, far from it. He served as a messenger, running messages between command posts and the front lines. Extremely dangerous work. He was there for, 41 out of the 51 months of the war?
Wow, almost the entire time.
Right there on the front. Apparently earned respect for his bravery. He was deeply involved in the conflict.
But he doesn't see the very end on the battlefield.
No. Near the end, he's wounded, a mustard gas attack, spends 24 days in the hospital recovering.
And while he's there?
While he's recovering, the war ends. Germany signs the armistice. November 11th, 1918, the Kaiser abdicates, the German Empire is gone, and the Weimar Republic is born.
This new republic, born into chaos, really.
Yeah.
And then hit with the Treaty of Versailles.
Oh, yeah. The terms imposed by the Allies were incredibly harsh. Germany lost territory, had to pay massive reparations. The economy was just crushed.
And then the impact on the German people.
Huge anger. Deep humiliation. You had this economic devastation coupled with a sense of profound injustice. It created this really volatile atmosphere, perfect breeding ground for radical parties, extreme movements.
So Hitler returns to Munich November 21st, 1918. What does he find?
He finds a Germany that's basically broken. The economy is collapsing. There's hunger, poverty, violence in the streets between different factions, workers' councils, pro-democracy groups fighting. Chaos.
And how does he get involved in the politics? It wasn't immediate, was it?
No, he sort of kept his distance initially, but he was still in touch with German military intelligence, a figure named Karl Mayr.
Okay.
And Mayr asks Hitler to basically spy on this small nationalist group, the German Workers' Party.
So he goes to their meetings.
Yeah, attends quietly at first, just observing. But then one day something clicks, or maybe someone says something that sets him off. He stands up and gives this absolutely fiery speech.
And they're impressed.
Hugely impressed. And within that party, there was this smaller core group, the NSDAP, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazis.
And he takes control pretty quickly.
He does, starts delivering these powerful speeches, and his message, his demands, they really tapped into the public's desperation.
What were the key points he hammered on?
Things like unite all Germans into one single country, demand equal rights for Germany compared to other nations, cancel the Treaty of Versailles and the Treaty of Saint-Germain, which dealt with Austria.
The racial element was there from early on.
Oh, yes. Critically, he demanded that only people of, quote, German blood could be citizens, and specifically, explicitly excluded Jewish people. That became absolutely foundational in the whole ideology.
His charisma, the party's organization,
Yeah.
they gain influence fast in Munich.
They do. Germany is just reeling. Hunger, poverty, people are desperate for change, for any kind of change, and Hitler seems to offer something.
Which leads to the Beer Hall Putsch in 1923. A bold move.
Very bold, maybe reckless. Night of November 8th, 1923, Hitler and his followers, they storm the Bürgerbräukeller, this big beer hall in Munich. Lots of local leaders are there.
And he tries to force them to join his revolution.
Exactly. He gives this passionate speech, trying to get the military and political figures on board, but it completely fails.
Right, it fizzles out.
Yeah. The next day, they try a march, clash with the police, shots fired, Hitler's arrested, sentenced to 5 years in prison.
But this failure, it was actually kind of a turning point for his strategy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really seems so. The sources suggest he learned a lesson there, that trying to seize power through direct revolution like that, well, it wasn't going to work. Not yet.
And he uses his prison time productively, in a dark way.
He does. He serves about 9 months, and during that time, he writes Mein Kampf, lays out his whole racist, imperialist vision for Germany's future.
So this time, this forced reflection, it lets him refine his approach, shift towards gaining power politically.
That seems to be the case. After he's released, he starts rebuilding the Nazi Party, but this time focusing on organization, propaganda, rallies, using his talent for oratory to win support, working within the system or appearing to, climbing the ladder.
And it works. Fast forward just over a decade, September 15th, 1934.
Yeah. Millions of Germans gather at Buchenberg. Why? To see their new leader, Adolf Hitler. He's chancellor now. There's a sense of hope, however manufactured it was, spreading across the country.
And he was a master of propaganda, using things like the Olympics.
Absolutely. The 1936 Berlin Olympics were a huge showcase, projecting this image of a new Germany, strong, unified, efficient to the entire world.
But behind the scenes, a chilling detail emerges from the sources just weeks after the games ended.
Right. David Lloyd George, the former British Prime Minister, visits Hitler at his mountain retreat in Bavaria.
Okay.
After Lloyd George leaves, Hitler dictates this secret note to his ministers. It basically says, "The world is heading for war. Germany needs the strongest army on earth or will be destroyed. We have 4 years to prepare."
4 years. That's incredibly specific.
Yeah.
And chillingly calculated. Publicly projecting peace, privately planning war.
It's a pattern you see again and again, that stark contrast between the public face and the private, ruthless intent. It shows the depth of the deception years before the war actually starts.
So he continues consolidating power, making alliances.
Exactly. September 1937, Mussolini, Italy's dictator, visits Berlin. Hitler puts on this huge display of military power, still talking peace, but constantly preparing for war. Signs a pact with Japan, too, lining up his allies.
And then the moves begin. Austria first.
March 12, 1938. Germany annexes Austria the Anschluss. For Hitler, born in Austria, this was a personal dream realized, uniting it with Germany.
But the sources paint a horrific picture for Vienna's Jewish population almost immediately.
Instant horror. Nazi flags go up, and almost overnight, Jewish shops are marked, people are dragged into the streets, beaten, violence erupts, people killed or sent off to concentration camps if they resisted. It was brutal, a terrible preview of what was coming.
And then Czechoslovakia.
His focus shifts there. He starts claiming that ethnic Germans living in the Sudetenland region are being mistreated.
Using propaganda.
Flooding the German newspapers with fake stories, fabricated incidents of violence to build a pretext. Britain and France get worried, try to appease him.
But he invades anyway.
Invades Czechoslovakia without firing a shot. The West is alarmed, but they don't act decisively. The pattern is clear. Aggression, lies, then more aggression.
And then the real target, Poland.
Poland. But this time, Britain and France draw a line. They issue a clear warning. Invade Poland, and it means war.
Hitler, though, had another trick up his sleeve, a deeply cynical one.
He did. He secretly reaches out to the Soviet Union, to Stalin.
His ideological enemy.
Exactly. But geopolitics makes strange bedfellows. Stalin replies, basically saying, yeah, the tension with Poland is unbearable, let's talk.
And they make a deal.
Incredibly fast. Just 48 hours later, they sign the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a non-aggression treaty. Secretly, they agree to carve up Poland between them. Stalin promises not to interfere with the German invasion.
Giving Hitler's a green light.
Effectively, yes. Over 2 million German soldiers are massed on the border waiting. Dawn, September 1st, 1939. Hitler gives the order, they invade Poland.
And Britain and France.
2 days later, they declare war on Germany. World War II has officially begun.
The invasion of Poland itself, swift and brutal.
Incredibly so. Just 3 weeks. Poland is crushed, something like 70,000 people killed. Poland effectively wiped off the map for the time being. Then, May 10th, 1940, Germany unleashes the Blitzkrieg lightning war on Western Europe.
Attacking multiple countries at once.
Yeah, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, the speed, the coordination. It catches the Allies completely off guard.
And the German advance is relentless, pushing the Allies back.
Pushing them back towards the sea leads to the desperate evacuation at Dunkirk. Over 340,000 British and French soldiers rescued from the beaches, an incredible feat, but a strategic disaster for the Allies.
France falls quickly after that.
By June 22nd, 1940, France surrenders. Just 6 days later, Hitler enters Paris. A symbolic, powerful moment for him. Only Britain is left standing against him.
And he offers peace terms to Churchill.
He does. But Churchill, famously, refuses. In defiance.
Leading to the Battle of Britain.
Right, an intense air war. Britain bombs some German cities. Hitler retaliates with massive bombing raids on British civilians. The Blitz.
For months. Right.
9 long months. German planes bombing British towns and cities. Over 40,000 civilians killed. But Britain holds on. Their air force fights back fiercely. Germany's Luftwaffe takes heavy, heavy losses.
So Hitler abandons the invasion plan for Britain.
He does. He realizes he can't achieve air superiority. It's a strategic failure. So he pivots. He looks east.
Towards the Soviet Union. Breaking the pact he made with Stalin.
Exactly. One of his most fateful decisions. June 22nd, 1941. Operation Barbarossa begins. Over 3 million German soldiers pour into the Soviet Union.
But he makes a critical error there.
A fatal mistake, really. He underestimates the Soviets, the distances, and crucially, the Russian winter. He fails to defeat the Red Army before winter sets in.
Trapping his troops.
Trapping hundreds of thousands of his soldiers in freezing temperatures, facing fierce resistance. It becomes this brutal, grinding war of attrition on the Eastern Front. A turning point.
And the war becomes truly global that same year.
It does. December 7th, 1941, Japan attacks Pearl Harbor.
Bringing the United States into the war.
Which fundamentally changes everything. Hitler, allied with Japan, declares war on the U.S. a few days later. Now it's a world war in the truest sense.
Back on the Eastern Front, Stalingrad becomes a focus.
Hitler orders a massive assault on Stalingrad. He believes the Soviets are on the verge of collapse, but it turns into this horrific house-to-house battle.
And the Soviets manage to encircle the Germans.
They do. The German Sixth Army is trapped. After 5 incredibly brutal weeks of fighting in the ruins, they're forced to surrender. A catastrophic defeat for Germany. Another huge turning point.
The tide is turning. And then comes D-Day.
June 6th, 1944. Dawn. The Allies land in Normandy, Nazi-occupied France. A massive invasion force.
Opening the Western Front.
Exactly. By the end of that first day, they've established a beachhead, broken through the German defenses. Now Germany is facing a massive war on 2 fronts, east and west. A strategic nightmare.
And even within Germany, there's dissent. An attempt on Hitler's life. Yeah, back in Germany, things are getting desperate. A group of high-ranking military officers convinced Hitler is leading Germany to ruin, try to assassinate him. July 20th, 1944.
At the Wolf's Lair, his military base.
Right. They plant a bomb in a briefcase during a meeting. It explodes, kills several people, but Hitler, he survives. Injured, shaken, but alive.
Which probably only fueled his paranoia.
Deepened it immensely. He cracked down brutally afterwards. But the writing was on the wall, Germany was collapsing, the Allies were closing in from both sides.
Even with new weapons, like the V-2 rocket.
Right. Nazi scientists in northern Germany had developed this terrifying weapon, the V-2, a ballistic missile, basically. They launched about 1,300 of them at London.
Causing significant casualties.
Killed around 3,000 people. Caused a lot of fear. But, as the sources make clear, despite being technologically advanced, it was too little, too late. It couldn't change the outcome of the war. Germany's defeat was inevitable by then.
Hitler himself. How did he react as the end approached? Publicly, he kept up the facade, victory was near, final triumph, all that. But privately, the sources show he knew. He knew the war was lost.
Especially as the Soviets reached Berlin.
By April 1945, the Red Army is literally storming the outskirts of Berlin, fighting street by street. From the west, the other Allied forces are racing across Germany, meeting little resistance.
And Hitler, trapped in his bunker.
Yeah, beneath the Reich Chancellery in Berlin, issuing these increasingly delusional orders for counterattacks that were impossible, sending teenage boys, old men out to fight hopeless battles, still apparently believing or claiming to believe in some kind of miracle weapon or turnaround.
Did his commanders try to get him to surrender?
Oh yeah. On April 21st, Soviet troops are actually in Berlin. The city is burning, chaos everywhere. His commanders are pleading with him, "We have to get out, we have to surrender." But he refuses, absolutely refuses.
And then his final days, marriage.
Bizarrely, yes. On April 29th, with the Soviets just blocks away, he marries Eva Braun, his longtime companion.
And the very next day.
The very next day, April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler ends his own life. Takes cyanide, shoots himself. Eva Braun takes cyanide too.
And with his death.
For Germany, the war is essentially over. A week later, Germany formally surrenders unconditionally, but the damage, unimaginable.
The scars, as you said, etched into the cities, the landscape.
Into homes, into families, and just deep into the collective psyche, the hearts of the people. This nation that had believed in this twisted vision of greatness, now has to sift through the literal and metaphorical rubble.
Searching for a new beginning, but burdened by this immense guilt.
A guilt that you could argue would never fully dissipate.
What an immense journey we've covered today. From, struggling, failed art student.
To a dictator whose actions literally reshaped the entire world in the most horrifying ways. This deep dive into the sources, I think it gives you unique insights, doesn't it? Into how one person could rise like that, how a nation could follow, highlighting those critical moments, those decisions.
It really does make you stop and think. What the sources really lay bare is how quickly a nation, when it's consumed by desperation, by anger, by humiliation, how vulnerable it can become.
Yeah, vulnerable to the rise of someone like Hitler, leading to, well, the darkest chapters we know.
So the final thought to leave you with, thinking about all this, what questions does it raise for you today? About leadership, about national desperation, about the choices people and countries make, choices that define their fate, maybe even ripple into our world now, something to definitely ponder.